Namaste everyone. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to your channel Books in Bag, and today we are going to cover detailed portion of topic lichen. So without wasting time, let's move ahead. First of all, we need to understand what are lichens. Lichen refers to symbiotic association of algae and fungi. Then what are phycobionts and mycobionts written here? Phycobionts refers to algal component which participate in the formation of lichen, and they are usually cyanophyceae algae or chlorophyceae algae. Their function is to provide nutrition. Now what are mycobionts? Mycobionts refers to fungal component. They are usually ascomycetes, but sometimes they are basidiomycetes as well. And their function is to provide reproduction or to perform reproduction in lichen. Moving ahead, what are basidiolichens and what are ascolichens? Let's see. We have understood that for the formation of lichen, we require algal as well as fungal components, and they are in symbiotic association. So, if the fungal component is of Basidiomycetes, then such type of lichens are known as Basidiolichens. Whereas, if the fungal component is of Ascomycetes, then such type of lichens are known as Ascolichens. Moving ahead, on the basis of the habitat, they have been categorized as corticolous lichen, sexicolous lichen, terricolous lichen. Corticolous lichen love to grow on the barks of tree, whereas sexicolous lichen love to grow on the barren rocks. Whereas as the name of terricolous lichen says, they grow on soil. Moving ahead, on the basis of their thallus morphology, they have been categorized as crustose, fruticose, foliose lichen, and in the given photograph their examples are given. Let's see what are crustose lichen. Crust like in appearance and difficult to detach from substratum. These lichens are, when they actually look like crust, and they are really difficult to be detached from substratum or their surface. Their example is Graphes. Next is your fruticose lichen. They are leaf-like in structure or in appearance. Their thallus is leaf-like and they can be easily detached from their substratum. The best example is Peltigera, given in second photograph. Next is your foliose lichen. They are miniature shrub-like in appearance. The best example is Litharia vulpine. Yes, you can see in the photograph. Yeah. So let's see the anatomy of thallus. First portion is upper cortex. This is thick, protective in nature, and it is densely interwoven fungal mycelia. Densely interwoven of fungal hyphae or fungal mycelia. Then the next part is your algal zone. It contain or it comprises of algal cells and fungal hyphae. The third part or the third layer is known as medulla. It is loosely arranged fungal hyphae. Then is your lower cortex. It is again compact fungal hyphae. You can see in the photograph easily. And what is the other function of lower cortex? They produce rhizine, and rhizine help in the fifth part is rhizine. The rhizine actually helps in the attachment of lichen. That is, they act as attachment structure. Moving ahead, there is a note that what are homeomerous and what are heteromerous. These are the conditions. Now, what are these conditions? If the algal cells distributed uniformly throughout in lichen, then such type of condition is known as homeomerous condition. Okay, such type of condition is seen in Colema and Leptogonium, whereas heteromerous condition is if the algal cell distributed only to algal zone just below upper cortex. The same we have seen here, algal zone is basically where it is comprised just below the upper cortex. Then such type of condition is known as heteromerous condition, and this condition is easily seen in Fissia and Parmelia. Moving ahead, let's see the reproduction in lichen. It is majorly of two types: vegetative and sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation occurs via fragmentation, and specialized structures that are involved in fragmentation are either Isidia or Soredia. Now, how does sexual reproduction occur in lichen? It occurs via fungal spores. It could be either ascospores or basidiospores. If the lichen is ascolichen, then it will produce ascospores. If the lichen is basidiolichen, then it will produce basidiospores. Moving ahead, first of all, let's see vegetative propagation. How does it occur? It occurs via fragmentation. And this is the singular term of Soredia, and this is plural Soredia, and Soredium is singular term, whereas Isidia is named the same. Moving ahead, let's see what exactly is fragmentation. Fragmentation is when a part of parent thallus gets detached and on landing to suitable surface it generates new thallus. Such process is known as fragmentation. And what are the parts involved in it? First is Soredia. It could be either Soredia. And how does Soredia look? Soredia is basically powdery in appearance. They are small structures, very small, tiny structures, cannot be seen by our naked eyes. And that is the reason they are easily dispersed by wind, water, and animal. Next is Isidia. Now, what exactly Isidia do? It is small outgrowth of thallus containing fungal as well as algal cells. They break down from parent, and they are transported via wind, water, and animal. And when it gets deposited to suitable habitat, then it generates new thallus. So this is how vegetative propagation is occurring in lichen. Next is your sexual reproduction. How does sexual reproduction occur? Let's see. Now we already know that algal component in lichen are basically performing function of providing nutrition, whereas mycobiont or fungal component is taking part in reproduction part. Okay, so if the fungal portion or the fungal component is ascomycetes, then it will produce fruiting body, that is either known as SI or also called as or named as apothecia, and these apothecia produce ascospores. Now, if the fungal component is of Basidiomycetes, then it will produce fruiting body, that is Basidia, that is known as Basidia, and they will produce spores known as Basidiospores. Now, in sexual reproduction, the male structure that is involved is known as spermogonium, whereas female structure that is involved is known as carpogonium. These terms are very important. Now, Let's see economic importance of lichen. First is how they are used as food and fodder. Now in the yellow, the given is the example name of the lichen. So we need to remember the name because they are important. First is Lyconora. It is edible lichen. Next is your Citraria icelandica. It is also known as, let me change the pen. Yes. It is also known as Iceland moss. Now it grows in snow region of tundra. Next is your Parmelia. It is used for making curry powder. Next is your Cladonia rangiferina. It is used as food for reindeer in tundra region, and it is also known as reindeer moss. So don't get confused in what are actual moss and what are these two types of moss. They are not actual moss. They are just names of lichen. So don't get confused. Next is your sources of dye. How lichens are used or as sources of dye. Parmelia is used to yield brown color dye for making silk and woolen clothes, whereas Rosella, very important, very important, is used to prepare litmus paper. Next is your Citraria icelandica is used to yield blue dye, and orchil dye is of high quality dye which is used to stain chromosomes. Important. Moving ahead, let's see the medicinal importance of lichen. These names are very important, again I am saying, and what type of uh, disease or problem they solve, we need to understand that as well or learn as well. Peltigeria canina is used to treat hydrophobia. Next is your Cladonia and Citraria is used to treat intermittent fever. Then Usnea and Evernia is used to treat hemorrhage. Cladonia pyxidate is used to treat whooping cough. Then Rossella montagna is used to treat angina pain. Parmelia perlata is used to treat snake and scorpion bite, whereas Usnea and Cladonia has antibacterial properties. Lobaria pulmonaris, important. It is used to treat tubercular infection. Then Parmelia is used to treat epilepsy. Moving ahead, for the preparation of culture media. Now, lichen extract is basically rich in polysaccharides, and this polysaccharides serve as nutrient for the growth of microbial organisms and tissues of higher plants. Okay, so that's how lichen is used in preparing culture media slides. Next, how they are used as or how they are important as indicator of air pollution. Lichens are really sensitive towards SO2, sulfur dioxide, ozone and other toxic metals that are released by heavy vehicular pollution and industrial smokes. Moving ahead, how they are important as pioneer of Xerocera. They show aggressive effect over growth of mosses and liverworts. They also colonize new substrata formed by volcanic discharge and bring life to such inhospitable and harsh conditions. And that is the reason they are known as successor of barren rocks. So that's it for today, my friends. In very summarized form, we have covered the detailed study of lichen. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe and also comment. Check the channel to watch more such videos. In next video, we will solve important questions of lichen. So see you in next video. Till then, stay happy and healthy. Thank you again. Bye bye.